Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to my channel and here. So yeah, another MBTI series and talking about ESFP. So yeah, this time talking about ESFP, basically me. And yeah, basically ESFP, what does it mean? Is much more extroverted focus, and I have the P in the end, so it means that my dominating function is going to be perceiving function, which is the X, so the extrovert sensing. And with the second function, supportive onto the introvert judgment, and it's a feeling, so introverted feeling. So yeah, as I already explained, it's much more like I always have a very strong sensing to my surroundings all the time with the sounds and everything. Maybe my brother sister will just say that no, yeah, because sometimes I just wearing my earplug, but yeah, I notice about it. And yeah, so I'll just give a really quick go through into it. So yeah, the four sides of mind for the ESFP. Basically, last time I already showed it, and yeah, I just want to show the energy from the strongest to the much more weakest way. So from SE, we go to FI, so introverted feeling, then we go to extroverted thinking as the third function, and the fourth function is the introverted intuitions. Intuition means that you sense something in the future and you just go through with it, but it's on my four function, so it already seems to be weak. So after that, we go to the introverted sensing. It's much more weak. It's talking about that comfort zone, disciplinary, and everything that you just keep on doing, repeating because out of like a habits that you need to do. Don't treat it as something bad. To be honest, as like a balance. If you know how to balance it, somehow it's a pro to you. But at the same time, if you just go too much into it, yeah, sure, it will be a cons to you. Everything is the same. And then the extroverted feeling. Then we go to the introverted thinking as the seven. So basically, I don't have my self-thought. To be honest, most of the time I can't. So whatever I need to do, yeah, I'll go back to the function. I just keep on studying. Yeah. So the A function, extroverted intuition. Extroverted intuition, it means that the prediction onto other people. So even though it's on the eighth function, but because it's immature, so usually we'll just go to the pessimistic ways of thinking other people. So sometimes my brain, if I just try to predict about future, yeah, badly, and it would be like so bad. But at the same time, I would just pick it out, and other people will be like, "Oh, yeah, you thinking so much." Yeah, got a confirmation from other people. Yeah, so trying to go with like a little bit explanation to my MBTI in some way of talking about it. So basically, it's a artisans. So what does it mean? It means like much more focusing onto the concrete part of it. It's much more pragmatic. It means that you are much more like a realistic type of person and go with interest based. So yeah, interest trigger is not really like an idea or something. No, it's not like a duty. It's like, oh, I'll do it because I'm interested onto it. Then after that, yeah, let's see what is the next thing. Is that uh, I'm much more like a starter. So what a starter means is also the same thing. Informative. It's much more like I have some information I want to share to other people. At the same time, initiating, as you already see, starter, yes. And after that, there's much more movement. So what does it mean right here? So it means I start something, but usually I don't end it. So I start something, I need to find someone who can just help me in the end, and they will just run it for me. Then after that, I just move on to my next idea. So sometimes starter itself, it doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, but sometimes it's much more like, yeah, we have too much thinking that we think that we cannot just stay at one place and just trying to secure that thing to be run good, or yeah, at least working. Yeah, so usually, yeah, starter will go with a finisher, but not all the time, but usually, yeah. Yeah, according to here, yeah, basically starter with a finisher. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, we'll just go with the next one. So basically, ESFP is a wayfarer. So what does wayfarer means? Wayfarer is much more like the person who just travel solo, travel alone to everywhere by themselves. And I can see it like why in a sense. Yeah, because our appreciations, or like our thinking about beauty, our appreciation to a building usually needs a little bit distance onto it. I'm not saying that things are turning sucks, but at the same time, because our brain is like keep on absorbing like a new information and appreciating the new information that coming in. So it just from away from like a scenario and making us much more easy to feel like, yeah, if there's the new information, it means that it's something I need to focus more. Yeah, instead of like trying to focusing onto something that is like just repeating for the sake of repeating it. Yeah, for us, like repeating is much more like, yeah, that's how you how should I say, do your daily basis, but it's not something that you are supposed to control yourself every day. Yeah, so yeah, it's much more like that kind of thinking that give us the way of like, feeling that, yeah, we need to go like and keep on working. Yeah, so yeah, basically that's how we understand, that's how me understand like MBTI thingy. So there's the that is in, but I didn't found it yet. Sorry, but yeah, if I found it, I would just do like a additional puzzle to it. But yeah, for today, I'll just try to talk as much as I could. So basically, the energy part, I already mentioned last time, the four sides of mind about it. So I will just explain a little bit like a scenario for you to understand a little bit. So basically, the normal type, ESFP. So yeah, if there is people, I just react, yeah, and it's much more like, oh yeah, oh who are you and what you're doing, and oh if you're doing this and that, oh yeah, then my mind just keep on thinking, yeah, oh yeah, this all the new information that people just throwing in into me. But at the same time, because it's a TE child, so TE child, like the extroverted thinking child, it's not only like doing judgment in a sense, it's not like only process, it's doing judgment. So with the T child, what we love the most is that if it can be effective. So if I can find out the most effective way to deal with things, that means good, like in a sense, yeah, for us, it means good. So do you see what we are doing right here? We are doing labeling, but at the same time, I'm kind of doubt about this kind of like talking. I mean, all my information coming from CS Joseph, but I do doubt about like a labeling itself is come from TE judgment. Why? Because it's much more like if always like a labeling itself is working, but we always try to explain a little bit the most essence core of the labeling. We don't just put the label and we just go. Yeah, that's much more like a label weakness type of people they would do. I mean, usually I saw it from the FE type of people, which they don't really do labeling, but at the same time, I know they are always doing labeling, but they don't explain labeling. So it's much more like they are emotional driven in a sense. So yeah, maybe that's the problem onto it. I'm not really sure about it. I didn't have my own research, but yeah, I just say whatever my thinking about it. It's not my thinking about, okay, my process about it. Yeah, sorry, whatever. And yeah, that's about it. Yeah, and also already talked about like I'm always extroverted sensing, and I already say that I'm just much more like a starter. So what does it mean? Like if I want to project onto my daily life, what is the possible problems that I might face? Yeah, dopamine boosting. So it's that I always need to find something. Okay, I need to be fun into it. I need to be intrigued onto some ideas. I need to intrigue with some stimulations. Yeah, either like whatever sensing that it can give to me. And instead of ideas, it's not really the same. But if there is the pattern, yeah, that is much more triggering onto me. It's not like a bad trigger, but it's much more like it was just giving me the loop and to be like keep on staying like a yeah, happy, 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 or like forcefully happy onto my brain. You know, the brain mechanism working with dopamine, and yeah, you're just doing repeating, and somehow it's brain rotting, but somehow it just work. Yeah, especially the games right now. A lot of times, sorry, but yeah, I love to play it. Yeah, Yeah, so that's basically talking about the ESFP. Then how about the INTJ part? And the INTJ part is much more like if you just see when an ESFP they are happy, it's much more easy for them to get hype a little, but at the same time they will try to stay back a little. They will try to think a little bit things. They will try to determine about the future or something. It's something just coming this way. So usually when you make a ESFP happy, they will put their words and they really try to run with their words. But at the same time, because they are happy, so they're a little bit dangerous, to be honest, during that time, because they might plan onto something that is like really fixed onto you. For those people who don't want to have a loyal claim onto, like cling onto ESFP, it's dangerous. Or else like ESFP might will just say, it's okay. Then after that they will just be like, I feel that person kind of betrayed me, but it's okay. It's just a normal day. Not really onto myself. The feeling of okay, but just try to let it go. In this kind of way. So there's much more like a INTJ subconscious. But at the same time, if you try to look at us, it's true that if you make us much more happy, we are much more willing to learn onto new things. That's how we do in a sense. And after that, let's go to the unconscious part of the ESFP. It is the ISFJ mode, which means if I'm being challenged unto myself and somehow there's like a trauma that making me feeling that I need to protect myself, the best protection is not to attack others simply. That sounds a little bit funny, but I'll just explain it in this way. Because usually ESFP, how our ego works is that we just being the starter and we just initiate and we just go to other people. So a lot of time, the way we started, and I already say that we don't have the self-taught, we just have the true feeling onto other people. Like it's much more starting from me. So if other people are being like not like being ingenuine or something, we feel it. And somehow like from that kind of like a pattern itself, we learn, and somehow like knowing that people might don't like us or in this kind of sense. So what we do the opposite way. So we don't approach people. We wait for other people to approach in a sense, but that is much more like a self-protection mode. And with the self-protection mode right here, we are not really like waiting with confidence and like, they will just find us. No, it's much more like, I'm waiting here. I try to keep my ground. I don't want to make other people to feel bad. At the same time, there's much more coming from my morality. It's not because I care about their feeling now. It's much more, I care about my morality. I care about my self-value onto it. And if other people approach, we talk, and after a few testing, like a words and like a thoughts, thinking about it, and like their barrier, and we're like, okay, it's not a big deal to do with that person. Then we'll just like to talk with them, and we'll just stick to them. We'll just when we want to, we'll stick to them. If we don't want to, sorry, ESFP a little bit, but we are learning in a sense. But the stimulation catching is like really like essential for us. Or else we will just easily feel boring, and we just easily get into like if we feel boring, there's nothing, then we'll easily drop into other focus, like judgment focus. Then that's not good. That's much more like the ISFJ mode of us. So usually like in this mode, we'll be much more serving as well, to be honest. And that's what I saw onto myself. But it's much more like, it's also not our ego state. So somehow it's like we dropped here, then we just try to come back here. But if you can't really come back, then then you just push all the energy to the superego. So what was the superego for the ESFP is the ENTP. So basically back to the extrovert side of us, but with the extrovert side of us, we are doing prediction onto other people's like a reaction. So we have a lot of way to do with it. Sometimes we just directly just counter that person. Yeah, especially when you're immature, you just think that if you counter that person personally, then that person will just definitely be accused or like being offended. Then they will just feel not really happy. Yes, yeah. Like yeah, you know, there's like a superhero inside our own mind and thinking about we will be the superhero. Yeah, that kind of thinking. But yeah, in a sense, while you're growing up, you don't really find that dealing in this way is working. Then you try to find the other way, maybe like making them not working, or we just try to isolate them. Yeah, that's bad, to be honest. That's bad. But somehow, I mean, just talking about how the personality works in this way. ESFP, when they don't really like you, they really want to just bomb you away. Yeah, just find a way that you don't like to interact with them and try to create a very far distance with that person and try to not interact with that person as much as we could. Yeah, that's how we do in a sense. But as long as you give them the chance to go back to their ego side, they will just try to forget about it. Yeah, ESFP people is much more like, okay, they have good memory, but at the same time, they don't really try to holding all that bad memory onto themselves so much. Because, you know, it's like really toxic for us and we were just stuck into it. If we stuck too much into it, it would just definitely trigger ourselves to be, feeling unconscious all the time and depressed as well. Yeah, it might just make us much more depressed because our second function, the FI, the self value, it's not like the first function. It's controllable. Somehow, if we didn't like feed the energy onto our self value, so it would just somehow like it would just wither down. It don't die, but somehow it wither down and become immature again. Yeah, and we need to like cultivate it again. It'll cultivate back really quick, but somehow it still takes time. Yeah, especially like if after a big trauma, then everything is like so impactful. Yeah, that takes much more longer time. Yeah, so yeah. Anyway, whenever I talk about the MBTI, like the weakness of somebody, my thinking is not for you to deal with that person in that way, but it's much more like for you not to deal with that person in that way. Yeah, understand what I mean? Because if you only knew the other people's weakness, then you know how to protect them. Like even if you know that somebody else gonna use that weakness to counter them, if you know something about it, at least you know, and you know that he is being mean, and you can just choose to try to stop him, or maybe you can try to support like my type. So it's much more like knowing the weakness itself is not making you weak. Somehow it sounds like making you weak, but at the same time, because we are a group of people who live together, so in a sense we all need each other. If you think that you can just live by your own self, good luck. I don't believe that. Good luck. So basically that's the part of the ESFP I'm talking about it today. Hope you all just enjoy it. See you all then.